And I remember thinking, that guy is completely screwed.
Yes.
I remember thinking that. Well, what was funny is, as I started watching Blockbuster get bigger, I started wondering what happens to the little guy.
They go out of business.
They go out of business. And then who's helping the little guy? So all this stuff about, well, maybe I should help the little guy. Maybe I should figure out about business.
How did you become so astute?
Because I was always the person that was willing to take the action even if I didn't know what I was doing. And then I got beat up and I figured it out. And I had, the best thing I ever did was move to Atlanta, because I moved there away from my family, and I had a boss, and I found out he was a 67-year-old little Italian guy. And I found out there's a couple girls that worked at the office, so I found out he was doing some things he shouldn't be doing. So he preempted me saying anything or going to like a national sales meeting and saying anything, because the headquarters was in Minneapolis. So he fired me. Took my car, took my keys, took everything. And so I remember I was 20 years old and 19 years old. I remember walking home with $4,000 of credit card debt from being on the road, him taking everything away from me. And I walked into a little bank, and there's this lady, and she said to me, I said, I have to pay this credit card bill. I can't even believe what she did. I think back to that moment. She was like, look, I'm not supposed to do this, but I'll give you a credit line and I'll co-sign it. Can you imagine walking into a bank and some lady doesn't even know who you are? And she co-signed that $4,000, and they put it on a 18-month payoff.
Wow.
And so I went home, and my buddy Larry. So I told you when we were privately talking, I was saying, like, I moved from Oregon, and there's not very many black people in Oregon. So I moved to Atlanta, and all my friends are black, and I had so much fun. Well, Larry lived next door to me, and he was my buddy, and he says to me, he ran like shoe stores and stuff. So Larry says to me, so what are you going to do, dude? He didn't say dude. He said, what are you going to do? Because you don't have any work. He says, you can come work at my shoe store. I'm like, no, Larry, I gotta do something bigger than that. So he says to me, well, look, I got a buddy. And that's what I loved about the community, is the hustle.
Yes.
He's like, I got a buddy, and we're slinging literally the back of cards going to businesses around universities. So we'd all get in a car together, go somewhere. We'd walk around the universities, and we'd sell discounts on the back of a plastic card. And you can only put like 20 businesses on there, and they'd say like 15% off or 20% off. And you go up to a local store, and you'd say, hey, if you want to buy the back of the card, if you want a little spot, it's $250. If you want a big spot, it's $500. Well, we just traveled around as a group to all the colleges and sold these plastic cards, and then we go give them to the college, and the college would then give them to the kids. And so I was like, this is unbelievable. I was making more money, and then at night I was hustling pool with them. So I was making more money. I lived in Jimmy Carter Boulevard in Norcross. Yeah, I mean, 19 years old, no parents, nobody telling me what to do. Buddies all have cars, so we're all driving to these universities, selling airspace on the back of these cards. And I'll never forget something that happened on Jimmy Carter Boulevard. I was like, I should sell some cards here, even if it wasn't by the university. And so I was walking down the street, and I'll never forget the first Blockbuster video store that was built. This thing looked like a castle on the corner. And right across the street was this video store rental place. Remember the little tiny ones where you go in and they have like 6 tapes and stuff? And I remember thinking, that guy is completely screwed.
Yes.
I remember thinking that. Well, what was funny is, as I started watching Blockbuster get bigger, I started wondering what happens to the little guy.
They go out of business.
They go out of business. And then who's helping the little guy? So all this stuff about, well, maybe I should help the little guy. Maybe I should figure out about business. And so it just spawned all this. But I was hustling pool and selling on the back of cards. And about a year later, the company called me and said, hey, can we talk to you? And I said, sure. And then they found out, right? So they're like, why didn't you say anything? I said, well, you let the guy fire me. So like, I whatever. So then I moved to Minneapolis, and that's where I started my career. But the point is, I had North and South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Eastern Florida. I had never been to the South in my life, and I did that for 2.5 years, living out of a car.
What?
And I'm telling you, it's the greatest experience, because I didn't have anybody telling me where to go or what to do. I had to find my own way around. I had to use an atlas. But that, in my mind, it just imprinted that I can take care of myself. I don't need somebody taking care of me. So when I quit my job with a newborn making 150 grand a year, a brand new baby, a 2.5-year-old, because I didn't want to be an employee anymore. I was like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Like, I know how to make money. So quit that job, and that was my foray into being an entrepreneur. So when I think about my journey, like it's something that you said, like, it's scarier going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, for me, that, like, I'm not going back to Corvallis, Oregon.
Right.
Right? I'm not going to college.
Right.
I'm gonna if anything, I'm gonna fail forward.
Yes.
And figure this shit out.
Yes.
And I just got banged along the way. Like, when I try to do anything, no. And I just kept hustling. And I think that hustle came from
In Atlanta back
in
then.
Atlanta working with those guys. They were just like, you're gonna get told no. Like, just go to the next store. Just keep going. And so it was for me. It was an unbelievable experience. Did you ever go dancing at Sneakers?
I never heard of that.
Yeah,
place.
so that was the place. They always used to take me to the Sneakers. Yeah,
In
it was
Atlanta?
a nightclub. Yeah,
They probably changed the name. Probably. Is it Strokers?
I don't know, but man, it was the scene. I can tell you, I had fake ID. I had my brother's ID, and these guys knew how to have fun, and the scene was amazing there.
So I'm glad you shared that, because I wanted to know, like, why are you so passionate about business owners? And that story I needed to hear that. So I think we probably all needed to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I needed to know, because just watching what you all have done, and, you know, even before I connected with you, my friend Annetta bragged on you all. Elena, she talked about, you know, when you all came into their life, that you really changed everything about their businesses and everything. And so to know that your passion comes from you seeing the Blockbuster in a small business, that's where it started, that was important. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just have really had the joy of working with thousands of business owners. I love people. That's for me. I love thought leaders, or people who are willing to have courage,
Wow.
or people who show that they're resilient.
Yes.
Those people, somebody mess with you or Grant or Elena, I'm the first one in the game messing with them back. Like,
Wow.
I'm all in for someone that I see that's all in,
Yes.
especially when I know their heart. Because we need each other. There's less of us than there are the others.
Yes. Yes.
And so for me, being in this business, and we've talked a lot about the cultural aspect, and I just don't have a lot of experience thinking about, because I work with every race, every color, every religion, people all over the world, and you know what my attractor factor is? If they have courage, if they're a thought leader, and if they're resilient, I actually don't see anything else. What I see is so many people that don't have it. I don't even see them. Like you could be anybody on this planet. Shit, you could be an alien for all I care. You can come from outer space. If you had those qualities, I got you.
Wow.
If you don't, I'll try to help you. But if you're unwilling to be helped, then I don't see you at all. I don't care what you look like, what you do, how rich you are.
Wow.
Like, I don't want to spend time with those people. And so partnering with Grant and Elena was just, it was like getting sucked up into this vortex of 10X thinkers. And I absolutely, I can't imagine a better home for me or Natalie than the 10X community, because we get to meet people like you.
Yes. Wow. Thank you.
And we would have never probably met if we were both wandering around on our own accord.
Yes. Yes.
So to me, I love this because I love you.
Wow. Thank you.
And that's what I want more of that.
Yes.
And Grant wants more of that. His heart is there as well.
I know. Thank you.